You know, now I've been meaning to talk about open relationships for quite some time now on my channel. But I just never get around to it because I just was working on other projects and other videos. But I do think that this is actually a really good video to go through. Because I've been having these thoughts about, this is the same thought I've had about open relationships for months now. And again, I just never put a video together to discuss the topic until today. So finally, viewer, you will see what I have to say about this. Because there's something interesting about them that I've noticed a lot of people don't cover or chat about. But I'm going to. Because that's what I do here. So anyway, they're just going to take us away.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I am currently dating two guys. An open relationship for us just means that we're open.
No, it means that you're allowed to have sex with other people that aren't in your current relationship. And just tell us what it is. We don't need any of these euphemisms or this flowery language. You're just open. No, it means you have sex with other people. Just say that. Just say it.
That's a new partner, if that's like a one-night stand every once in a while, just whatever feels right for either of us. John and I started our relationship 2 years ago, and we both decided we wanted to be together, but we didn't want to give up our freedom.
Now this is something I find very interesting that people in my generation in particular, I've noticed, and even the generation coming up behind me, seem to harbor on when it comes to relationships, and that is that they are restrictive. And yeah, sure, within their nature, monogamous relationships are restrictive. That is part of the point. That's kind of the whole point of the whole monogamy thing. However, they look at it in such a negative point of view. You know, I've lost my freedom, you know, to have sex with a bunch of random people. But I mean, and sure, I mean, that's true. You can't have sex with other people. But you trade that off to have lots of sex with someone that you like a lot. At least I would imagine that you like in some capacity. It's a trade-off. And I honestly think, personally, my personal feelings, that trade-off weighs a lot more. There's a lot more weight in being in a relationship with one woman, and vice versa with one man, versus, you know, being with someone half-heartedly so you can go have sex with other people. Because honestly, in the back of my mind, it just always screams to me, you know, you're just plan B. You're the guy I have here now, so I'm not lonely and I can still get some dick, but you're not really the guy I want. I still want to be able to monkey branch off you to someone else. It always strikes me as that's the underlying cause of some of these open relationships, but that's not even the whole thing that bothers me about them. I mean, yeah, it's true. The nature of a monogamous relationship is restrictive. That is kind of the point. However, you do gain something, and you're supposed to gain something out of it, and that is a trustworthy partner of whom you build your life with. It's not just someone you have sex with. Sex is part of that, obviously. You know, that's kind of the core of it. But you do more than just have sex with a person, or at least you're supposed to. You're supposed to build a life with them. You're supposed to build a life with them. A lot of people don't, but you're supposed to.
Andrew and I met in the same training program and just kind of like instantly connected. Now we're still together, and it's been about 2 months. Our relationship dynamic is a V, so like I'm the partner here and then I have two partners, but it's not connected. Like they're not in a relationship, they're not dating anyone else, but if they meet someone and they decide to start, they're more than welcome to. It's really—
Now see, this is a little bothersome here to me because I don't know if this is Kate's objective, but just on the outside looking in, Kate looks incredibly selfish here. Kate is the one that gets what she wants. She gets, what were their names? Jeff and Carl? I don't know, until I'm corrected, they'll be Jeff and Carl. Kate gets Jeff and Carl, right? But Carl and Jeff aren't with other people. Or at least within the context of the video, they haven't told me they're with other people. They just told me they're both with Kate. Which means, despite the fact that they have the freedom, that option is open, it seems that they don't want to be with other people. It seems that they just want to be with Kate. Now, that's going to become very important later in the video. Continue.
not about the sex. It's about being able to connect with people, and I would rather feel like a little discomfort sometimes than feel like any of us are caged. So this is John.
Hi. Relationships are always something that I was nervous about getting into. And so I didn't really think that, you know, any women would be open to the idea of being open. And then I met Kate. She basically wouldn't have it any other way. When Kate first told me that she was seeing someone else, it was like a punch in the gut for a second. It was like I just got ugh. And all these fears and insecurities just bubbled up, and I was just like, what, am I not good enough? Like, oh my God, why is she looking outside of me? Like, what else could she possibly need? And she goes over to this guy and she hugs him. I'm like, wow. And then he hugged me, and it was a big breakthrough for me, because it was just like, wow, like, I'm so open to connecting with this guy. And then
Now, viewer, I'm sure that you caught what I caught, but if you're one of the viewers who didn't, notice how when he first met the other guy, I don't think his name's been revealed yet, Carl. When he first met Carl, he did not immediately have any positive reaction to what happened. He didn't feel good about that situation. And it wasn't until he saw Kate felt good about the situation, and Kate hugged Carl, or his name will show up pretty soon. It wasn't until Kate did something and the guy hugged him, did those feelings kind of sway, or did they kind of roll over or simmer down a little bit. Now, that is bothersome to me as a human being that has some degree of empathy for people, in that we can clearly see that he was hurt by this. There were some hurt feelings there. He didn't feel good about this the moment he saw it. And see, and this is something I've noticed a lot about a lot of these open relationships, is that usually there's one partner that doesn't like the nature of that fucking relationship. Now to play devil's advocate, I know a lot of people are going to probably say that two consenting adults doing what they want sexually is totally fine, that's no one's business. Well, that's stupid as all hell to say, because evidently it's someone's business, those two adults. So unless you are implying they're no one, that's a dumbass thing to say. And second, considering that two adults having sex can produce more people, a person that will have some effect on society, that is another incredibly stupid thing to say. No, the sexual nature of two adults has an effect on us, society as a whole. There's no way around that. You make people via sex, so it's a stupid thing to say. That said, though, that tangent covered. Even though it's true that this is actually it's not the sex relationship of two consenting adults, it's three, and consenting or not, you still find that there's an individual in this situation who is bothered by the scenario, who was hurt by this in some capacity. It may not be deep emotional turmoil that keeps him up at night, no, but it still bothers him. And see, this is what gets me about a lot of open relationships, because you would imagine that the person in the epicenter, or the person that relationships normally revolve around, because I've noticed it's usually never a trifecta where each person's dating each other, like you've got bisexual people. No, usually it's not that. It usually revolves around one person wanting to step out. And the other person gives the partner the option to do it, but they never take it because they don't want to, because they want to be with that one person. And well, see, when you put all those things together, someone's hurt feelings and the fact that one person wants to be with you and you want to be with other individuals, I can see a relationship where someone is in emotional pain trying to stay with you and give you what you want. But I don't think that that's a fair thing to that person, you know? And I see a lot of that. I don't see very many people discuss that nature of these open relationships, that if someone is settling, or if someone is jealous, or if someone's feelings are hurt, that means they're in pain. And as the person who is with that individual, don't you think that you should care about the fact that they hurt? You know, and that's what really strikes me as being incredibly selfish. The fact that this person's like, hey, I don't like seeing you with Jeff, or this other person, and you, Kate, in the epicenter, is like, well, you know, you just gotta deal with your ego. I don't know if she put it that way. However, you know, the underlying message is you just gotta deal with that shit if you want to be with me. And I think that's really selfish, and I don't think anyone in any caring relationship would want their partner to be hurt by that. So, I'm just going to continue.
And I developed an immense amount of like pride and love for myself.
Really, nigga?
Because I was like, who else responds to that in this way?
An insecure individual who thinks that he has to sacrifice something to stay with a woman he thinks is too good for him. I don't know if that's you, it might not be, but to answer your question.
So this is Andrew.
Hey, how's it going? Honestly, when Kate told me that she was in an open relationship, I was like, yes, that means free game. It just felt good, it just felt right to get into this relationship, just to try it out and see how it works and just be fully 100% committed.
My friend, you have to realize that that is clearly an oxymoron. You can't be committed to someone if you're in an open relationship, by definition of those two words. I'm just saying. I'm just talking.
The first time I met John was at a graduation. I honestly didn't know who he was at first. I just gave him a hug. Just like, what's up, you know? And then later, I was like, oh, I think that's Kate's boyfriend. I instantly felt those negative emotions. I need to be better than him. The emotions changed because I made a conscious decision to want to change them because I really care about Kate. I really care about the relationship.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. Now, Kate, knowing that, Andrew had negative emotions or feelings, you would think that Kate, as someone who supposedly cares about this man in some capacity, would not want him to feel that way. Would to give him the option to either be with a woman that wants to be with him and accept him wholly, so he doesn't have to be all jealous and upset or feel like he has to prove himself, or Kate would end the relationship with John and be with Andrew, right? Well, you would think. And that's what bothers me about a lot of these open. They look like the person in the epicenter, because it's usually an epicenter. Not always, but usually, from what I've seen, it's an epicenter. One person is getting what they want, and then you've just got these two orbiters around here, or however many orbiters, who have to sacrifice or has to deal with this emotional pain or sacrifice something in order to stay in that relationship. I mean, at least to me, like if you're feeling this way, if you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling hurt, seeing this woman with somebody else, you shouldn't have to put up with that. You know, that person should have the person who apparently is supposed to care about you should say, wow, my actions hurt you. I should change or do something different to alleviate that pain. I shouldn't expect you to put up with something you very clearly don't fucking like. Because if he liked, I mean, come on, viewer, if he liked it, if John and Andrew liked this, they never would have immediately felt jealousy. They would have never felt negative about it. Now, I mean, sure, you could play devil's advocate and say, well, what if they didn't feel badly? Well, if they didn't feel badly, well, I still think it's doomed to fail. I still don't think it's functional in terms of the intent of a relationship. I still think it's strange, but whatever. I mean, that's their prerogative. I wouldn't do it. I'd never do it. I wouldn't even consider the idea. But sure, fine. If the two men found Kate and they were like, "Yeah, dude, what's up?" Never felt bad about it. Sure, but they do feel bad, and that's what I see, and that's what I'm focusing on.
First time really connecting with you, it was like, oh, hey, you're a human too. And we're both experiencing the same feelings. Then I got a really great friend in my life.
Now, it is true that both men said that they were dealing with their feelings and trying to get over that feeling of jealousy. But again, I kind of felt that Kate, the woman, if she wasn't selfish, would analyze the situation, see that she has hurt these two men in some capacity, and would make a choice or some shit, or would do something about it. Instead, no, she just kind of lets them feel that way and just reaps the benefits of having two men to take care of her. So
this open relationship has helped me in my other relationships in my life, being more open and giving feedback when it's necessary. And
Brad, you don't need to be with in an open relationship to come to any conclusion and do that. I mean, I'm sure, I guess you're not really saying you have to be, but I think there are other ways to achieve that level of confidence and inspiring and being open with your feelings than letting your girlfriend have sex with other men. Just saying.
I get jealous of Kate all the time. However, the jealousy has started to diminish as I start to realize that the jealousy was stemmed from ego.
Yeah.
And see, and that's what I mean, you know. He went on to reiterate it. Again, Kate hearing that her partner has a negative emotion does nothing to try to alleviate that. And alleviate that might mean that she might have to end the relationship and let him be with a woman so that he doesn't have to feel that way. Or she might have to end the relationship with John. Maybe. But she does nothing. And I find that incredibly lacking in these relationships. It looks really fucking selfish. It doesn't look like a relationship where you try to help the other person be better than what they are or feel better about themselves or try to achieve their goals. It looks really selfish. I want to be able to have you here when I want you here, but God forbid I have to, have some responsibility. You actually want to go out and do what I want to do. That's really selfish. It doesn't look like it's a relationship about actually empowering the other individual, caring about the other individual, loving them. It looks like, hey, I want to get some dick from you, I want some dick from you, and I want some dick from that jerk over there. But again, from what I've seen from the two guys, and maybe they are punching in their open relationship tickets and having sex with a bunch of women. I doubt it, because it doesn't sound like they are. In fact, even again, coming from Andrew, he said that the reason why he toils or why he deals with this jealousy is because he cares about Kate. It still all revolves around Kate. The two men are the ones being selfish and putting up with Kate's bullshit, but Kate's not making any effort to do anything different. And that right there is what screams selfishness to me when it comes to a lot of these open relationships. So just going to see and let these guys wrap us up.
The idea of closing yourself off to any other partner just seems inherently unnatural. And
Well, perhaps to you, but to play devil's advocate, growing up, that always seemed pretty natural to me. It always seemed like that's just kind of the way things are supposed to be. I've never really had any desire to be with a bunch of women. In fact, one thing I've noticed about myself in particular is the more I like one woman, or the more I try to date one woman, the less other women become less attractive. And it's not that I can't acknowledge that they're beautiful, but my desire to be with them lessens the more I want to be with one girl. And that's just me personally. I don't know, maybe I'm special, you know, maybe I'm the quintessential man. I don't think I am, but that's been my experience. I have the total opposite experience. It feels incredibly natural to want to be with just one woman, which is why I could never even entertain the idea of an open relationship. It just, yeah. But another thing here's one thing that has always gotten me though about that argument. I've heard a lot of people say that human beings are naturally polygamous creatures, you know, that we're supposed to have sex with a lot of other human beings, but that has always confused the hell out of me. And the reason why is because children have an affinity to their parents that is really strange to me in a paradigm where they wouldn't know who their parents are. Like, if human beings are supposed to be polygamous and have sex with multiple people, it doesn't make any sense to me that a child would care about their parents. Because the child would know who their parents, they know who their mother is, they wouldn't know who their father is. They wouldn't, but they wouldn't, children wouldn't develop an attachment to their parents unless, evolutionarily speaking, children had to be with their parents, had to be close to them. Why are fathers so important to children if human beings are polygamous and don't stay and raise their children? That doesn't make any sense to me. If men are going in and out with this one woman, why do children feel badly when they are in environments where multiple men are coming in and out of the house? Wouldn't that just be natural? But we find it's not natural with children. We find that that's very detrimental to the development of children. We find that a man raising his child with the mother, you know, in some kind of stable environment is what gives the best possible upbringing for children. So if that is the case, if we can see it statistically and consistently, that a loving father and a loving mother in an environment raising their children together is what gives them the most confidence, the most self-esteem, and the best success in life, how could we then come to the conclusion that it's natural for human beings to have sex with multiple human beings and then move out and not raise their children, not be with their children? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because the implication would have to be, if they're polygamous, is that the father is not stable, that the father is not there, or the mother is not there. The mother must have left her, or so, there are multiple men coming in if they're polygamous. And even in an environment where there are multiple people raising the same child together, I've yet to see that work. And maybe it does work. I can't really speak on that because I don't know. I haven't seen very many environments with a harem with one man raising multiple children. But even then, it's usually rich men who do that, and the rich men will have a bunch of handmaidens, well, at least historically speaking, will have handmaidens who raise most of the children together. It's not like normal Joe Schmo off the street or some poor guy. It's usually an affluent man who's able to build these harems. You know, so I mean, to say that human beings are naturally polygamous, I don't know, maybe I think human beings might exist in between there. Some humans might lean towards that than others, but I think for the most part, humans kind of have to be monogamous because children have an affinity to their parents. And I don't think children would have evolved in affinity to their parents unless their parents were there to raise them together in some capacity. But that's just conjecture. Anyway, wrap us up.
If it wasn't, then why is cheating so common? Why is divorce so common?
Because a lot of people don't marry individuals they like. They marry people they like having sex with. And then they come to realize that they didn't actually love the person. They just kind of like the feelings that they got when they were around them. And instead of forming a partnership and out of love and mutual respect, they just formed it out of fun and flowery feelings. It's usually the woman who ends up filing for divorce in that type of scenario, by the way. Just saying.
Why is the success rate of marriage so low if this is what's natural for us?
Well, I just explained it. People don't form relationships based off of mutual respect and caring of other people. They form relationships based off of how they feel or how that person makes them feel. And when the person stops making them feel good about themselves, they end up dropping them. That's why.
We're all coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
It's not about sex. It's not about not wanting to commit. It's about wanting to experience love and just understanding that we have the capacity to love multiple people.
Well, you know, that is indeed true. You can love multiple people. But see, the thing that makes the sexual relationship a sexual relationship is sex. That is at the core of that. You know, no, you don't have, you see there's no problem with you having friends. You see, no one is saying, no, you can't have friends. No, you can't hang out with your friends. So you can't have sex with other people. And then why is that? Well, cuckolding, obviously. Yeah, I mean, the moment you introduce sex into a relationship, it changes the fundamental nature of it because you can make people. You may not be making people, but you can make people. And that's how people are formed, you know. And I obviously look at sex from a spiritual point of view as well, obviously, because I'm a Christian. I don't see how that's surprising to anyone. But, I mean, completely withholding the spiritual aspect of that type of relationship, because I could talk about that all day. From the purely physical point of view, you are potentially messing with a family dynamic where you have to raise a child who doesn't know who his father is, or is beholden to two different fathers, which would be estranged and confused. I don't even know how you could raise a child like that. I don't know if it's been done. Maybe it has been done. I don't know. I'll have to look into that one day. But see, that's the problem. And it is about sex, because again, no one is telling you you can't have multiple friends. You know, the epicenter of this whole open relationship thing is about sex. It is. It's bullshit to say that. Because you can have multiple friends, you don't have sex. If you really just wanted to love all these different people, you would just have a bunch of friends. Come on. Yeah, it's bullshit. You know, Kate, and you want to know something? Here's the thing. Here's this. To wrap the video up, some people will probably say you're being prudish, or, you know, your Christian bias is showing, you have a problem with this. Just let adults do what they do. You know, okay, fine. To appease those people, you know what? If you can do it, I don't suggest that you do it. I don't think it's a good idea, but it is your prerogative. Fine, you can do it. You can be in an open relationship. I can't stop you. I'm just something on the internet. However, looking at how a lot of these open relationships form, they are formed from a very selfish point of view, almost always, almost consistently. It may not be all of them, to be fair to some people who claim they really love someone, but the moment you see that your partner is hurt and in pain, I think that's the time you really should show them that you love them enough to try to alleviate that pain. And if that means you end the relationship with X or Y, if that means you do something, yeah, that truly shows that you love that person. You know, you're going to make a sacrifice for yourself because you care about the feelings of another person, instead of the other person just doing it all on their own to appease you. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying. I don't think it's about love. I think it's about sex. And I think people just use that word love to cover up the fact that they're just being selfish people that want to have sex. Because if you really cared about the person that you're with, or the multiple people that you're with, it would bother you at least in some capacity that they feel jealousy. I'm just saying. So that being said, man, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Yeah, shoot, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.